Thank you. Yeah, thank you for pointing out that you are unable to hear. I have been just speaking. Hopefully now you can hear. Yeah, so I need to just check as well. In that case, hopefully this is working well now. Okay, so moving forward, that this session is all about helping you to answer some of your PMP related queries. It's a unique series which we have started, primarily focusing on teaching you a little bit on project management and then getting into your questions related to project management. And I welcome you all and I thank you all for joining it in our first session related to it. So plan for today is let's talk about business value. So I give you a little briefing about business value from the PMP exam context. And then probably if you have question on business value, we talk about them. Else we talk about your queries, which might be linked to PMP certification. Yeah, so that's the plan. Okay, so we move and I share a screen. Okay. How do I present a screen? Okay, so as usual, some of you who are familiar with our training and working, that we do it as a Jamboard, which we usually use for talking about these things. Now, in any project, let's talk about these boxes like your organization. So any organization may continuously keep doing some kind of need assessment. Yeah, or you can say, now what they do in the need assessment, they keep looking at various factors, environmental factors, to see what are the opportunities, what are the challenges we are facing in our business. And based on their assessment of the environment, they may initiate that, guys, we looks like this problem or this opportunity worth exploring, and let's evaluate this opportunity a little further in the form of, in order to evaluate that opportunity further, they may come up with something called business case. So the organizations may end up creating a business case for a particular need, not all needs. They may do a rough calculation of some of the needs and then they come up with a business case. And those business cases which are looking promising, which means they feel that they can earn more money than what they are expending, it helps them in growing their business. It helps them in upgrading their technology so they can have various types of business needs. And the case or a particular opportunity which looks good in those parameters, they may follow a process to initiate a project. Yeah, and here you come into the picture. You can say, okay, project get identified, and I may, as a project manager, say work. I'm not getting into the details of terms like project charter and all, but the project get initiated and you come into the picture. So that's a one possible flow. Now, some of you who are working as a project manager says, I never see this happening. We do project for other reasons. Okay, now what could be that? Maybe in your case, some client or customer is giving you an order. They might be doing their needs assessment. They might be having their business case, which is outside your organization. And based on that, they may have a contract with your company. So they may come up with a contract. And based on this thing, if I change the color here, so you can say they have a need which leads to a business case. It's outside your organization. They give you a contract. And based on contract, you raise a project. Yeah. So both are possible. Sometimes you do project against a given order, which is coming from outside your organization. And many times you may do a project because it is a business case from your own organization, which worth solving. Now, many of us who can say, okay, I have a project. So what do? I probably identify deliverable. That's what I do. And finally, and then I deliver deliverables, Now, without getting into the details, we can say this is all, in general, is all about the project. Now, when I focus on delivering deliverable, I can say I produce, let's not get into this particular color. Let's produce an output. We produce an output which probably takes care of for the reason which we have initiated the project. Now the question comes here is, you are producing the output, but are we getting the desired outcome from the project? Now, what is that outcome? We can say, okay, what was the primary reason for which the project was initiated? Yeah? Maybe which was a business case here or a business case for the other company, but are we producing the outcome? Now, traditionally, the project managers have been like the way project management has been defined. We have been focusing too much on producing deliverables. We can say, I have a scope which tells me produce this, I produce this, and my job is over. But as the project management is growing, now PMI expect, no, it is not enough to produce a deliverable. You need to focus on delivering outcome as well. And we have a project management principle which calls focus on value. So we need to focus on value also. And the question comes in, what is value? Oh, values are somewhere lying here, somewhere lying here. Yeah. And probably somewhere defined here, or maybe you, in case of a contract, you may have a possibility that you may not know the value very well. But in case of internal work, you need to know the value. So what is expected from the project manager is, first, they need to identify and understand the value beyond deliverable. So when my project get initiated, I need to ask, what are the reasons behind this project? What kind of things the organization wants to achieve as a success from this particular project? Do they want to save money? Do they want to increase their market share? Do they want to improve their technology? Do they want to improve their customer service? What is the reason behind it? And once I have a reason behind that thing clearly understood, throughout the project delivery, I need to remind my team as well as stakeholder why we have initiated this. So we definitely work on deliverable, but we keep relating those deliverable to the value for which the project got initiated. So I probably not own the value. Those values were coming from the business who is investing in the money. But as a project manager, I have a role to remind the value to the stakeholders. So I do that. Periodically, whenever the milestone reviews or iteration reviews or release reviews are happening, we can focus on the term adaptive or predictive differently. I need to ensure that there is a mechanism to see how are we doing in the outcome space. Are we going way off the target? Are we on target? Or we are going beyond that? So I need to bring those mechanisms so that periodically we have a mechanism to track the value delivery or mechanism to forecast the value delivery. On top of your work, maybe your organization also have a group which is called benefit measurement group, or sometimes it is also known as a benefit management plan, which is maintained by benefit group. So you have a benefit group who might be working on seeing what kind of benefit your project is producing, because sometimes your benefits goes beyond a project duration. It may go beyond your current way of say 1 year or whatever your project duration is. It may go beyond that. So what PMI expect from us, that we start understanding what is value, how do we identify them, how do we ensure an alignment on the value, and how do we ensure that there is a measurement system in the place. And as a project manager, I keep reminding my stakeholder about the value on a regular basis. Now, I stop here for a while and I say, okay, this is where we are. If you have any questions, that you can put it there. I do want to talk a little bit more about the PMP exam and this value thing. Now, many of you who might have a confusion like PMP exam is based on PMBOK 6, PMBOK 7, and this, that, and might be wondering where this value thing and all things comes in. So I remind you again, let me share the screen again, that whenever you are dealing with PMP exam, you need to go to PMI website, yeah, and you locate your, you go to a certification page, you click on PMP certification, and then you can scroll down and you can find something called PMP exam content outline. So whatever is written here is something your PMP exam outline is. You click on this button, it will open up in a box, and you can say that, okay, here we can see, okay, so you can see it here. I am just directly going to a page number 14 because I know where my topic is, but it has a lot of other content. And whatever we were discussing, whatever I was trying to show you is presented here in the form of statement related to evaluate the delivery of project benefits and value. So these are the way project management managers are expected to behave related to this particular task. So as a project manager, I need to ensure that we investigate that benefits are identified. So business values, whatever different type of business values are, they are identified. Stakeholder has an alignment about it. So as a project manager, I need to verify that and I need to reconfirm, and then I need to keep iterating them throughout the project execution. I need to document agreement on ownership of benefit realization. So I need to have an understanding who is going to track the realization of the benefits. Say, because it may involve some sales data, it may involve some production data. You may not have an access to it. You are just doing project. It may go beyond your project duration. So as an organization, I need to have a clarity who are the people who are capturing the benefit related matrices and the information related to my project ongoing basis. We need to verify as a project manager that we have a system in place to track the benefits, which means you need to have some of the outcome matrices. So you can say, okay, we will keep calculating ROI on various milestones, estimated ROI, estimated returns on investment, but we have a measurement system in place beyond just variance reports, beyond that burn down chart report. We need to have an outcome related matrices as well, which we need to evaluate at a frequent basis. Evaluate delivery option to demonstrate value. So as a project manager, I need to focus on how can I deliver a value early? Can we do a part of delivery or a full delivery on a frequent basis so that the benefit starts coming in? So focusing on a term called minimum business increment, if I relate to your PMP exam, is a good idea, or incremental delivery in case of predictive life cycle is also a good idea. Even in a predictive life cycle, you should focus on how much incremental delivery we can give. And appraise stakeholder of value gain progress on various milestones, iteration reviews, various checkpoints. I need to ensure that I am updating my stakeholders about what kind of benefits are achieved and how we are progressing towards our outcome matrices. So this particular task itself may give you 3-4 questions in the PMP exam. Whatever we discussed, if you get this thing well, and if you can relate it into a scenario situations, you may get 3-4 questions out of your business domain marked right. Yeah, so that's a teach part of it. Now we can talk about your open-ended questions related to PMP, and we can also talk about some of the topics you may have related to benefit measurement. Yeah. So now we are open for Q&As. Okay. So you can just put it in the chat. If you are on YouTube, you can put it on the LinkedIn. If you are on a LinkedIn chat, whichever way it will reach us here. Even if it's a starting PMP question, it is also okay. We'll see how much we can cover here. So what about project vision statement? How is it different from business case document? So you can say the business case document can have a project vision, or there could be a separate artifact called project vision. Both are definitely interrelated. Vision is usually a small summary statement. Yeah, so I'm answering this particular question. So vision is usually a small elevator page so that it can easily understood in a one line. Whereas a business case is more quantifiable mathematical thing where we really want to see what value in a quantitative term we are getting out of it. So say my vision statement for becoming a PMP certified could be, I want to be a seasonal project manager, like a successful project manager, having the good fundamental of project management. So I want to establish myself as a good project manager. That could be a vision. The business case for doing PMP certification could be that I will invest this much time, this much money, this much energy into it. And after this much time, I will start getting returns out of it. And looks like my investment is 1 and my returns are 10. So looks like the doing PMP is a great project for me because I will earn 10x return out of it. That will be a specific business case. So what are the matrices to measure business values? Yeah. So the question is, it is a very relevant question for your PMP exam. So we need to understand some of the outcome matrices. Now, if I just talk about PMP exam content outline, in the beginning of our business domain, we talk about some of the financial matrices. One of the simple and most commonly used metrics is a return on investment. So you may have a ROI measurement happening. Again, initially ROI will be purely estimated. As you start executing your project, some of the investment information may get refined and some of the return information may also get forecasted. Probably during your project duration, ROI will remain a forecasted ROI only because returns may come over a period of time, but that's one of the metrics. The benefit related matrices also depends upon the type of work you are doing. So if I am, say, improving a production system, and the idea is that it will save us money in the say scrap cost or in our automation by way of our operational cost, then we will have a cost saving as our measurement system. Now, maybe during our implementation, we may identify phase one delivery first, and we may automate some part of our operational production system, and we calculate how much money we have saved based on our previous month expenses by using this particular thing. So that could be another measurement. Sometimes people want to have a customer satisfaction increased. Then they need to find out how they want to capture the customer satisfaction. Maybe they want to focus on number of incidents they are getting, number of complaints they are getting, and they may count the complaints received from the customer should get reduced as we start delivering things. This all is possible when we are making incremental delivery. If we only have an end of the project lifecycle delivery, then the feedback for this may be just a review demos. You may give a demonstration and you may want to check the satisfaction level based on your reviews. So it depends upon the type of problem you are solving. I gave 3 examples. It also depends upon the delivery model you have. Are you making incremental deliveries or you are making an end of the life cycle delivery? From a PMP exam perspective, they do want to talk about a term called Net Promoter Score, which used as a satisfaction indicator of your stakeholders and customers. So you may use NPS as a one number. They do talk about ROI in their examples. They do vaguely mentions that you may have things like number of visits coming in, number of sales increasing, amount of cost saving happening at various levels. Those may work as a tool for you to measure your outcomes. Yeah? So benefit measurements are outcome matrices and you need to identify them. And that's your job as a project manager. You may not own the whole data. You may not have that information, how much money we have saved completely. So we need to identify who gives which part of the information and how do we measure this benefit at a various frequency. And that's clarity is needed, expected to be there with the project manager. So that's your job. Okay, so that's done. I move to the second query and looking a little different from our benefit trend, but we'll explore. So how to fix a budget in the early stage of the project? What if the fixed budget value doesn't sufficient or become excess after completion? How do we guess correctly? Yeah. So as you rightly said, it's a guessing game. Yeah. And how do you improve your guess? By keep including the variability or the problems or the learning you are getting over a period of time. So you keep playing this guessing game all the time. Now, from a PMP exam perspective, if I have to answer it, let me try to plot something as well along with speaking here. So we can say, okay, let me focus on full screen and try to. Okay, so here I can say that I am starting a project. So in the beginning of my project, I need to do some amount of estimation. And this kind of estimation is many times called rough order of magnitude estimate. Because people want to know, as a business case, we want to know, does it worth investing this much money here? So we need to give some amount of estimation here. Organization may have a acceptable error range for this. Now, how do they identify that acceptable range? Depending upon the uncertainty they are dealing with, the experience and the type of work you are estimating. So if you have been doing this work for a while, you have better guess. If you are doing it first time, you have a poor guess, but you will have a acceptable level in your organization. And then you start working and you start talking about scope or start sprinting. You run few iterations in case of agile way of working. And maybe after some time, you again estimate. You can say, okay, now we have some understanding. Let's figure it out. Now organization will expect less error from you. They will say, guys, you have been working on it. Now you must have validated some assumptions based on it. Then you go further, you keep estimating, and hopefully till end you will always have an error, but those error range will start reducing. This thing is called cone of uncertainty in your project management language. We are saying the uncertainty cone is expected to shrink as we move forward. Now somebody will say, what if what we estimated early was X, and by the time you reach here it becomes 3X? From where the money will come? Yeah, who will give it? Now, it's not your alone job. On various stages, you are expected to keep stakeholder informing, how are we doing? And maybe when it becomes 3X, your stakeholder may want to check their ROI again, and they will say, guys, this doesn't look attractive investment anymore. Better we kill this. Or they believe, okay, doesn't matter. We are going to get 100X out of it. Anyway, we were thinking of doing it in X, but it's okay. Even if it takes 3X, we continue working with that. Now, what do I do as a project manager? My role is at any point in time, estimation, we involve people and we do best guess by involving right expertise in the context of doing estimation. If you have a more details, less details, whatever is the stage of estimation, we put an appropriate number there, and we have an agreement on a error range which organization expect, and accordingly we estimate that, and we keep revisiting. Many times as a project manager, and even in the PMP exam, the problem is we say, oh, we have spent more money, but we don't forecast how our end budget will look like or end time will look like. So as a project manager, whenever I am telling I'm spending more money, I need to give some forecast also. And based on all this, I bring it to my stakeholders. They will take a call. It's not my business. I am not the one who started this project. They wanted something to get done. My job is meeting the stakeholder wishes by keeping everything transparent and doing the best judgment to the organization resources, using them very, very efficiently and keeping the stakeholder always updated. So that's my job, which I do, and that's what we learn in our project management. Yeah, so I come back. Yeah, so hopefully this answers your question, and you probably also see the difference between our usual open hour and this one, because here we are focusing on specific topics, so I can get into the details because we are hanging around one particular things. Yeah. So extreme project management, all again, people keep bringing the terms and all. So yes, there is a book, there are theories, and talking about extreme project management from a PMP perspective, I stick to exam content outline. So what you do, you focus on the exam content outline, and in general, the exam content outline covers what are those best practices which are relevant in today's project management space. Yeah, so I stick there. So it's a book, that much I know about extreme project management, yes. Okay, so by now, what we have covered, I just do a quick recap. In case you have a more question, you can put it. So we explored a little bit on business value. We spoke about some of the examples of outcome matrices. We explored the difference between the project vision and the business case. That's something we did. And we also explored that budget versus changes in various things. Yeah. So what about the project manager turning into Scrum Masters and nowadays in Agile? So see, great point. And as I said, I see these things from the glasses of PMP exam. Yeah. So I answer this from the perspective of if someone is dealing with a project management exam. So in the PMP exam, we do talk about adaptive way of working, and we do expect that there could be a Scrum Master and there could be a project manager. Now, somebody will say, okay, what is the difference between these two? So for the PMP exam, it depends upon what options do you have. So we go one by one. The pure Scrum way of working is a product way of working. It focuses on creating a product-based teams who will keep working on it till the time product exists. The PMP way of working on a Scrum is not that. PMP way is inside the project, which is a temporary endeavor. You have a starting date, you have an ending date, you have a compliances, you have a stakeholders, you might have a contract, you might have a business case, and you have a goal, you have an outcome to achieve. You work for a while, you achieve that, and the work or a project is over. So we are talking about a special way of using Scrum in a projectized mode. So that's a different than Scrum Guide. So PMP exam is not an exam of a Scrum Guide. It's an exam of how do you use adaptive way of working in the context of project, which is temporary endeavor, which achieves some kind of a business goals. That's the first thing. Now, when I'm dealing with the question, if I see, can the project manager and Scrum Master coexist, or can we just have a project manager who might be doing a Scrum Master job? So from a PMP exam perspective, both answers are true. It depends upon the situation and the context. So the PMP exam is considering, say, millions of the projects, not only one project which you might be working on. So when you see a question and say that, there is a retrospective and someone has to facilitate it, who can do that job because the team is confused about about the improvement? If you see an option, the project manager is there, it's the right option if the Scrum Master option is not there. But if the Scrum Master option is there and the work is associated with the team leadership, you take a Scrum Master option. Yeah, that's the thing. So what does it mean? A PMP project can exist when you have a multiple Scrum team and you may have a team level leadership which is done by the Scrum Master, and project manager might be taking care of other things, external stakeholder engagement, contracts, compliances, budgeting, governance. That's one possibility. Another possibility is that you are working in a small project where project management plus a Scrum Master responsibility is done by the title called project manager. So we can merge them, or we can consider the project manager is doing a little bit more project management activities than the team leadership activity if we see a Scrum Master option there in the question. So for a PMP exam, we need to understand the question is only complete when we see the 4 options. There is no absolute answer to a question. So we need to see the question and we need to see what are the options available, and based on that we find out what should be the answer, project manager or Scrum Master. Okay, so that's the point. Any other query for this? And if you have some ideas for... So how do we differentiate between product owner and product manager in small team? So for a small team, we can assume that these two roles may not exist. Yeah, that's a simple thing. So see, product manager role, so for example, product owner role is a well elaborated in a Scrum. Yeah. Product manager role is a well elaborated in a scaled agile framework, not in other flavors of agile. In a PMP exam, we don't see a product manager word coming frequently. We can use the product manager, product owner as a same thing, as a replacement of each other. So we need to understand which framework we are talking. So for a PMP exam, I think we don't get into this confusion. We can take the guy as a same guy. But if we are talking about generically, many times the role of a product manager is more external oriented. So say you are creating a product. With whom all you should partner with? What kind of pricing strategy you should bring in? In which geography you should run a Google Ads? In which other promotions you should invest? Someone has to think about that, yeah, and think about how I'm going to make the benefit or a business case out of a product. And this kind of work is associated with the word product management. If you have a product owner, the product owner may also can do this work if you have a just one role product owner / product manager. But if you have two separately, in a case of scaled agile framework, then you can say product owner might be more focusing on system level roles, getting things understood and developed by the team, and where product manager might be focusing on external collaboration and external areas. So that's a high level guess. but it totally depends upon which framework we are working with. Okay, so is it necessary that communication plan must contain the rule that the people involved in either internal or external must respond to each other? What if they, some of them don't? So I don't necessarily see that you need to have a response as a rule in a communication management plan. So say as a PMP exam, what we learn is that there are three methods of communication: push communication, pull communication, and interactive communication. In case of push and pull, you may not necessarily look for acknowledgement. You can say the push communication is a type of communication which I do when I send the information to others and I let them absorb, consume it or not consume it or raise a question. It is not my purview. So it depends upon type of stakeholder I am working with. If this group is falling under push communication, then we don't need an acknowledgement for them. But if a particular stakeholder is falling under interactive communication, which means the information is very critical and the stakeholder understanding of that information is also very critical, then I will ask for acknowledgement as a rule, because I'm not clear the communication has happened or not. Me sending an email is not a communication. When the message in the email get understood by the other guy, that is communication. And that kind of communication we need to ensure with the help of feedback. So that's an interactive part of the communication. But if I have 100 stakeholders, I will not be ensuring all the 100 stakeholders giving me feedback back and ensuring interactivity. I may only want to focus on some subset of the stakeholders who are critical for me for interactive. For others, I may follow push communication style or a pull communication style. From a PMP exam perspective, no default rule. You need to make your communication rule based on your stakeholders and based on your situations. So yeah. And again, question depends upon what are the 4 choices you have in your question. Yeah. So that's the case. Okay, that's an interesting question. So what is the difference between trade-off and scope creep? I personally feel they are very different terms. So trade-off is English meaning I trade off. I take something and give something. That's a trade-off. Yeah. So trade-offs are done in order to make decisions. Say, you want to do a scope. Are you willing to trade off a cost for it? That's the one trade-off. Are you willing to get away, lose something? Yeah, that's a trade-off we do whenever we are making decisions. We got a great idea, but it is going to take 2 more months to implement it. Can we trade off time with a potential of earning this money? So that's a trade-off. Flexibilities, scope versus time versus money, all those kind of things. Whereas a scope creep is uncontrolled expansion of scope, which means that there was someone who was suggesting something. We never informed anyone. We just did it. And we thought it's a small thing. Once we did it, we realized that it has various impacts. Since we just did it without doing an impact analysis, and it became so big and it is becoming a problem for us to handle. So a scope creep by definition is uncontrolled expansion of scope. Say in a PMP exam, nobody is saying that we will not change. Some of you may keep a myth, in a productive life cycle, we can't change. If someone says for change, we don't do it. It's not like that. We are always open for change, provided the due process is followed. So the predictive life cycle, adaptive life cycle, you all understand that it's a continuous backlog refinement and change is a part of life. But even in a predictive life cycle, even on the last day of the project, someone can request a change. And as a project manager, I need to listen. I need to listen and take care of it, but follow the due process. I just don't do it, because when I do it without doing the due diligence, it may become a bad thing, and that may become a problem for my organization, not only for me. So, interesting question. As a project manager, how do I eradicate an issue to my project caused by a political influence? Now, political influence, in a general word, I need to see what are the 4 options. Yeah. So that's a critical thing. So see, a lot of things can happen in our project. And all these things, our response depends upon situation at hand. For an exam, what are the 4 options I have? I need to decide based on that. So there is no perfect solution. Now, what could be the good options? Hypothetically speaking, I'm not talking about a particular project. So I probably need to have a clear working agreement with those stakeholders who are influencing my project deliveries. I understand that they should not be involved in our thing, but they are involved. I need to have a transparent communication. I need to give a feedback to them. I need to have a one-on-one meeting with them. All these are great options. What are the bad options? I ignore it. I escalate it without doing myself something like that, or I do a political response as a backdoor entry. All are bad options. So it all depends upon what are the 4 options we have and which option suits you the best. So in general, I focus on honesty, transparency, taking care of organization resources, keeping the stakeholder business value at highest priority, being transparent about how things are going to impact our deliverable. My role is meeting stakeholder expectation. My role is whatever goal I have been given in my project charter, I plan up for that. I keep my people informed about that. And whenever some blockages are coming for achieving that goal, I relentlessly work towards those blockages and get them resolved. If I reach a level where they are beyond my control, then I go to my seniors, maybe a sponsor or someone, and seek help, which is called escalate sometime. But I seek help when I clearly see that I have reached to a barrier. If I am facing that everyone is against me and I am the only one who is trying to deliver this project, then maybe I have not done my stakeholder engagement well. I need to find those people who are also interested in getting the value delivered out of this project, because someone is spending money for it. Someone must be worried about it. So that person, that group, I need to find who is spending money for this particular project. I see some of you recently joined in, so we have another 20 minutes in this call. So what we are planning to right now, we are taking some of your PMP exam related queries and trying to answer them here. To start the conversation, I gave a small teach. We today explored the business value. The video will be available on our YouTube channel as it is getting broadcasted. The link will remain the same. You can check it, go back and see what we did before. And we tend to do it more frequently every Friday as of now. And let's see how things goes and what kind of value we add, because focus on value, it just can't be just a deliverable as we learned today. So that's something we are planning to do. Okay, after project closure, how to initiate the same project as a stakeholder want to extend it? So it's a new project charter. So if that's the question you get in your PMP exam, that the project closure was done. So what is the meaning of project closure? So we need to be very specific. The meaning of project closure is the resources, physical as well as human, have been released. The deliverables are delivered. The acceptance has been taken. The files has been archived. The lesson learned has been recorded. And we tell that, guys, thank you. See you sometime later. We release those resources. And as soon as I release it, I don't know, they may get blocked by some other project manager or other projects. So I had a machine which was available to me. As soon as I release, I don't know where the machine goes, because it goes to a resource pool, and resource management organization also want to make a best use of that machine. They may allocate it here and there. So it's done. Now someone comes to me and says, we need to restart the project. I says, who are you and who am I? So we need to follow a process. Now, whatever process is there in your organization, probably they need to raise a request to your PMO or to your portfolio group. They may need to recreate the business case. So depending upon, in the beginning, we explored 2 possible paths. So one path, if you are doing project, let me share the screen again. So going back to our thing. So we can say that there are 2 ways of doing project. One is that something which is internally driven. So it means my organization had a business case and we have delivered that, we close the project. If you want to restart, you probably need to have a new business case and ensure that, organization has a limited money. It clearly shows that now, even with closed thing, the next phase or next idea also worth enough, we want to continue with that. That could be a one process. If it is contract driven, then we need to have a new contract. You have released your thing, you have already taken an acceptance, now something else is coming, you probably need to do it. So in a most practical case, in case of PMP exam, we need to recharter something because we have delivered what we were expected to deliver already. We had a closure of it. Now we need to see how can we help our customers. Yeah. So as project get closed, your existence ceases. You are no more a project manager because there is no project. Yeah. So you need to be something before you can say, what do I do about it? You are done. Probably you are assigned to another project. Okay, so that's the interesting stuff which we explored here. And I think we have reached to a stage where it looks like now there is a question: what if the organization felt that the benefit that PM brought was not sufficient? How to convince management that how to compensate it? So definitely this question will not come in the PMP exam. Yeah, in a simple word. So, but in a little beyond that, it could be true for any role. So how do we add business value? The question could be in our project management term, what do you do which helps organization in growing? Yeah. So when I look at my PMP exam content outline, I see I create an environment for team. I enable team to deliver a value. I keep everyone well informed. I ensure the business value are focused all the time. If all these things can happen automatically, then definitely I am not needed. And even organization would like to have a stage where it is not needed. But usually when there are more people, there are more confusions, we need more coordination effort. So I keep giving this example in my generic conversation. I hire 3 engineers to do my website as a CEO. I just give them a work, they will work and do the things. I don't need a manager on top of it. Why should? If I hire a project manager, he will just unnecessarily create confusion for these 3 guys. I says, you are 3 guys, you just do it, you talk to each other, and if you have any problem, come to me. I don't need a project manager there. Probably I want to go fast. I says, these 3 guys can do only this much work. Why don't I have a 10 people? I bring 10 people now. Now there are 10 people, but I see they are not even producing what the 3 guys used to produce, because now good amount of time goes into debates, good amount of time goes into confusions, good amount of time goes into alignments, and people fight more and collaborate less, and I am not getting out of anything. Then I say, guys, you probably need to do a planning meeting. Now those 3 guys were not doing even a planning meeting. You probably need to do some planning thing. You probably need to project something. You need to have a probability of clarity who does what. Now they will say, okay, we'll try to do ourselves, but who will do it? This doesn't look like our expertise. We are good in coding or we are good in testing. Then the CEO will say, looks like I need someone who can bring these guys into same mindset and ensure whenever the differences comes get resolved so that I get something out of it, yeah, rather than they don't produce anything. So I get a project manager and I add project management activities. Now, whatever name you give Scrum Master, I get a leader. And I add activities for overhead activities, but they are necessary overheads: planning, coordination, reporting. They were not needed for 3 people, but they are needed for 10 people. And if I don't do that, these 10 people produce nothing. So by adding those things, probably 3 people were producing 3x result for me. These 10 people may produce 7x result for me. But if I don't add these management activities and coordination, they will not even produce 3x result for me. So I won't get the same, probably the output, because we are investing time into management related stuff. We are spending money into management related stuff, but we need to put there. Yeah, so that's what we do in order to get things moving. And that's the value you add as a leader, any leader, be it a XXS manager. You can say, why do I need a manager? My people can do their own job. I don't need someone to take care of them. Ideally, yes. Yeah, provided your people are well aligned with your organization mission, you are small, you are closely working with each other. Usually this thing works in a small setup, but in a complex organization where people keep coming and going and the knowledge get scattered here and there, you end up having someone who facilitates leadership rather than leadership happens automatically or facilitation happens automatically. Yeah, that's the case. Okay, so what do you suggest for someone who wants to switch from software testing to project management? That's the question. So I would say the first thing is I get familiar with project management. So I learn about project management. Second thing is I improve my leadership skills, say handling conflicts, talking to people, emotional intelligence, leading them for making decisions, facilitating events. So even if I'm working as a test lead or a tester, but if I get an opportunity to make alignment amongst the people, yeah, that will be a good testing skill for me. So the core role of a project manager, as defined in our PMP exam content outline, we stick to that, is focusing on people 42%. Any leader can develop those skills, which are primarily focusing on motivating, creating a motivated work environment, creating clarity for them, helping them grow, training, mentoring, coaching, resolving their issues, taking care of their emotional needs and all those things. That's something you focus as a people thing. You make them feel valued in the project. So that skill you can develop, definitely. So you study about it and develop that. Then the 8% skill is a business domain. You study about business. You, especially in a test environment, you have a more possibility of learning about the business. Yeah, so you probably learn the customer segment, the outcome the project is expected to do. Then we have a process domain, which is a core project management area, which may take some time for you because you may not get that much experience or opportunity to practice it, which is like how do you talk about estimation, how do you talk about scheduling, how do you work on scoping or requirements, how do you do risk related things, how do you deal with the procurement. So that may take some time for you. So I can say study about project management. Doing PMP is a good idea if you have the desired leadership background. Focusing on developing your people and domain skills, which you probably have an opportunity directly available, and then work on expanding that to a process domain. And that's what I can say to the transitioning thing. So how to implement business continuity plan? What are the disaster? When there is a disaster, is all step needed? Not part of your PMP exam content outline. So I stick there, not at all. Yes, you can definitely search and you will find a lot of ideas. So it's all about focusing on continuity, all about keeping backups, all about, there are various models of keeping backups, which is some kind of is a live backup, which can just work whenever the disaster happens. Another may become a master. Sometimes they are, say, offline backups. They may need time for continuity. So it's a subject on its own. I'm not an expert on it. I'm more focusing on project management. I have done some proposals around it in my past sales life, but not anymore. How to excel being a project management manager, talking politically when people consider our kindness and a weakness. So what I need to focus on is, at least in a project management space, we need to be transparent. So you don't have to be soft, you don't have to be harsh. We need to be authentic, which means we do what we really mean. So we speak and we walk our talk. That something is needed. And that's what the PMI expect from us. So as a project manager, it is nothing personal here. I don't want to achieve any personal benefit. It is all about, I have given a mission as a form of a project charter to ensure good alignment so that we can achieve our project delivery. So I focus on that, and I focus on transparency, clear communication, continuous feedback as my tool, and that's how I go. So if I say weakness, it might be I am unable to give a good feedback. Yeah. So there is no problem in giving feedback, provided they are clear, they are fact oriented, they are open for challenge. You are not saying that you do this. You can say, I think this has been an observation. We can talk about it if you feel it differently. So doing feedback on a time feedback, looking at a fact-oriented conversation and ensuring the accountability is well understood by each other. I know what I can expect from you and you know what can I expect from me. That clarity I need to bring in my team as well, because I need to create a team which is also holding each other accountable. It's not like you are doing something wrong. It's okay. I value you as a team member. I don't point it out. That is not the need. Organization has not hired us for that. They have hired us that we collaborate, but at the same time, we point out what is working and what is not working. So I create that environment for a PMP exam perspective in the team, and I also ensure I follow those values when I'm working with the other stakeholders. Yeah. So it's nothing about being nice. It's more about being truthful. It's more about focusing on the business value which we have to deliver. Yeah. So that's something is there. Product manager, product owner interview. I think we have few videos, not many. Those things can be focused on. Yeah, that's something. Not this topic, yeah, but this is more PMP space. But we have few videos on product owners, product management interview part. Yeah. So does it work when a project manager also takes care of one or two teams, one or two of his Scrum teams? Does it impact the project? So from a PMP exam perspective, it is perfectly okay. Yeah. So you can take care of multiple Scrum teams because your project may involve more than one project team. Yeah. So that's there. Yeah. So there is no problem. Now, if you are getting impacted, you need to find out why you are getting impacted. If you have a lack of time, how can you create that time? What kind of tasks you can delegate? If your team is not growing, you need to grow them. So those are generic problem solving. So for example, you may find out a question. You are a leader to two teams and you are finding very difficult to assign work to the people. So question itself is saying that you might be doing a wrong thing to assign work to the people. So what is the right answer? I need to create a self-organizing team so that I don't have to assign work to the people. So we need to see the question, yeah, and what the challenge the question is bringing to your thought process. But there is no problem. In a PMP space, nothing is problem, provided you handle it well. So when there is a dedicated person named business analyst is available in the resource market, yeah, okay. Business analyst is available. Why should the PM still do a requirement gathering activities? Is it a part of a project management? Not necessary. Don't do. So now somebody will say that, but why it is there in the PMP exam content outline if I don't do? So what the PMI has observed, again, it's a survey-based things, many project managers are involved in need assessments, customer interactions, gathering requirement, and also implementing product to the customer space by way of driving change in the customer segment. Since they have observed in their periodic survey, since last 50 years, they include requirement and scope related work in a project management competencies and skills. And that's the reason. Having said that, they don't expect super intelligence and super capability in it. That's why they came up with a separate certification for that, which is a PMI PBA. Again, more and more organizations are looking for multi-skilled individuals, T-shaped individuals. And as per PMI research, they feel the project manager might be good developing the second skill in a business analysis domain because they have some amount of competency already in that area. So that's the reason. But in a real project management space, you can definitely create your RACI matrix. You can identify the scope of a work, and you can definitely put those people doing that job who are designated, who are more expert. So whenever I have a team, I make best use of their strength. That's a rule I need to keep in mind when I'm dealing with a PMP exam. So I need to organize my people around their strength and give a maximum use in their strength area, in their core area. And then I take a secondary work. So I must be using the organization, the investment to make a best use for my company. What all documents are the part of PMP, like project charter? Is there a full list? Yes. So you can look at your PMP content. Yeah, if you are following PMBOK 6 or something, there is a list of documents, but you don't have to memorize it. Yeah, you don't have to remember all the list there, but you should be able to recognize a document and understand what it might contain, because that will be needed when you are dealing with the question. Some of the examples of the document is, as you've rightly pointed out, project charter, issue log, risk register, stakeholder register, minutes of the meeting, maybe a change log, change request. All these are possible project documents, requirement document, requirement traceability matrix. So all these are document. You can get the list in the PMBOK 6. PMBOK 7, I don't think contains that list, but PMBOK 6 has that list. Again, that's an example, not a comprehensive list. You may have more document than that, but yeah, there is a document. So most of the PMP exam questions are confusing to me. How do I manage my time and reading it and doing the trick? Now, our client, and especially to you, you have an access to the full length mocks. Practice them. So what we see from successful PMP exam taker is that they practice the mock test. And especially since you are our customer, you have many domain specific tests, 50-50 questions one, and then you have a 6 full length test. So just make sure that you practice them. Maybe you try to do the whole test of 180 question in 3 hours rather than near 4 hours, and try to develop that speed. Don't try to achieve perfection. You don't have to understand the meaning of all the 4 options. There could be a made-up options also. Don't dig into understanding any term which you see in the exam. Whatever digging you do in the final exam, you may see 5-7 weird terms, and they could be a made-up terms also. I should be comfortable with those kind of ambiguity. See, as a project manager, we don't have a clear-cut information available at any point in time. We need to deal with ambiguity and achieve a success at a level of acceptable level, not a perfect level. We achieve the acceptable level. That's what we do for PMP exam. You don't have to score a perfect score something. There is no perfect score. You need to just meet the threshold, which tells that you understand how usually the project management is done in the world. Yeah, and you understand that. Understand less, understand more, doesn't matter. So deal with ambiguity. Don't try to be perfect in each and every question. And how do you do it? By way of doing practice test all the time. So take the use of 6 practice test, and also do the agile 50 question test, 3 question test you have. Watch the 50 question video. If you take care of a good grip on agile, you are done, because good percentage. Now, formally PMI is saying 50%, but people domain questions also look like agile theory. So people domain and agile. Yeah, if you take care of these two, you are done with 75%. That's it. The complicated part is the remaining 25%, yeah, which is your process domain. It takes your energy, but it's just a 25%. Yeah, so you should be able to deal with it. Great. So I think we are approaching our planned duration for our first session. And this is the plan that you can join us again next week, same time. I will pick up a topic. I will publish that in advance, but a particular topic which we will cover. You can find that information on our YouTube channel or LinkedIn, wherever you are following us. You can also post your queries in advance. That's also a possibility. And that's how we move forward. Yeah. So for a follow-up, yeah, if you have any specific thing, keep posting in the chat thing on YouTube or LinkedIn. We'll see you again, some of you at least, in the next week conversation. The goal is we make PMP simple. We make PMP more aligned to exam content outline rather than a little big standard called PMBOK. So we focus on the fact which PMI is saying for the exam, and we deal it in the conversational way rather than too much theoretical way. So that's the objective. I don't know how much I will achieve it, but that's the plan for these sessions. Yeah. Great, guys. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. Yeah. See you next week. Bye.